I think that's the only thing I kind of fear, like just sort of like
how you die.
how
Yeah.
I die,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I think, but I think it's just something that I have thought about. The only kind of thing I do kind of fear is how I die.
Yeah.
But it's just not worth thinking about.
No, you can't. You can't.
You might as well live your life.
When your day comes, your day comes. That's 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 just your calling. That was your time.
You can't live if you're.
If you're constantly living in a bubble, worried about what's going to happen all the time, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to have any experiences. You're not going to have any memories for when you get older. You're not going to have, it's not really productive for your life, to be honest. We're not criticizing. We don't want to sound like we're criticizing anyone or anything like that, because everyone has fears, but we've got to find somehow, some way, in a constructive, positive way to overcome these things, and so that people can live their best life, as they would say. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I'm 57 now. I keep saying I've said it 1,000 times now.
Almost 6 decades.
Yeah, 6. I said 10 once.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm still learning life. Yeah. And I think 57 now.
Yeah.
3 years time, I should be more intelligent. I should be. Do you know what I mean? Especially, as long as I'm alive. And I keep, because I love learning, on the internet, whatever. I'm going to learn a little bit more every day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I might know the piano by then, or whatever, But, I'm hoping to get a little bit, I'm not going to give up learning, I mean, Albert Einstein said that, if you give up learning, you'll end up dying. Or something like that, it's on those lines, If you give up learning, that's when you're sitting in bed, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Some people are living actually alive, today, and they're almost like a tree. Seriously, they don't think.
Yeah, I know what I mean.
And I'll be honest, I don't know whether trees think or not. Who knows?
Who knows?
You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've always loved nature. I think and that's one thing that makes me happy. I think, and free of fear in a kind of way,
Yeah.
Where, like, for instance, like if you fall in love with all the insects, you're going to have a lot of new friends to play with and to dream about. So you never, I kind of feel like I'm never lonely in life, because I've got all these. Like little souls around me. That's what I call them. And I've looked at insects all my life, and like for instance, little ant with 6 legs don't fall over like we do. They're actually more intelligent at walking than we are. And spiders have got 8 legs, so 8 legs are better than 2 legs.
Yeah.
So I mean, I said to Josh earlier, our main difference, people, we got hands. Spiders ain't got hands, have they? Do you know what I mean? Or hands.
Yeah.
We got hands.
Yeah.
And we make a lot of things. Even films, horror films.
We are creators.
We make horror films.
We're innovators.
And all kinds of things. That's going back to that though. It's funny that people actually pay for fear.
Yeah.
They go to the movies and actually.
That's crazy. Actually, when you break it down like that, mate, that's so true.
Yeah. It is
people
interesting.
Pay for fear.
It's funny that people kind of like to be shocked.
Yeah, and not only that, but you've got a lot of these things today where you've got all these horror houses and people, the escape room.
Yeah.
And all these things that are popular today that a lot of people
like
doing. Where you got a lot of these places in Southampton and Bournemouth and London and all over the place where these people are setting up these places where people paying to go in and go round this place, this large building, and lots of scary shit going on, and people trying to jump out and scare you and grab you, and zombies, and all sorts of shit. All sorts of shit. But it's done in a way where it's designed to literally scare the living shit out of you. Like literally, it's dark in certain places, and you go around a corner, you're not expecting anything, and someone just jumps out of you. You know what I mean? It's like you said, people pay for fear.
Yeah, strange, isn't it? It's quite weird.
You know what I mean? I'm sure some people probably, can't really deal with that shit probably too well. Like, you know what I mean? And probably end up, might end up pissing themselves or something. shitting themselves, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
They like seeing a good disaster movie, you know, where like there's an earthquake and people are going down and dying, you know. You know, and it's like thinking about that, like the Twin Towers, for instance. Yeah. Personally, I don't think they should have televised it at all. That's what they did wrong. You know, do you know what I mean?
I think that was all intentional, though, right? I won't talk too much on that, but I think that was intentional.
Again, you know, like it's a memory, you see, so they should be putting memories like that out.
They did that on purpose. How? I guess all I'm going to say is, how did they have a camera crew already set up there, ready to go, as soon as that happened? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I won't say any more than that.
Yeah.
I'll be politically correct.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of stuff I could say. But I'll leave it at that. But yeah.
But that's 20 years ago now, isn't it? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's sort of like, I say children...
Well, almost 22.
Yeah.
Next year will be 22 years. That's 2001. Next year's 23. Yeah, almost 22.
And all the little children are born today don't know nothing about it.
So I was 8 years old when that happened.
Yeah, only the people that lived at that time experienced it and, you know, will remember it, you know, do you know what I mean? And like, the children being born today, well, they could watch it on telly,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And sort of see it if they want, do you know what I mean, on YouTube,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So they can kind of memorise it in a funny way, you know, it's like some things in my life, like for instance, I wasn't born during the Second or First World War, but I've seen a lot of things on films about it, do you know what I mean? It's kind of part of my memory now.
It's funny because you were born the same year as my mum.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny, like we talked about before, like you were born 2 days after my mum. Literally, my mum's two days older than you.
Yeah.
You know, same month, same year. That's funny, isn't it? You know.
That's it. Like this very moment, as I say, I think you know, this is the oldest moment I've ever had in my whole life. You know, and it's the oldest you've ever been. This moment, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So.
And
Yeah.
like I said, the moon, it's the oldest it's been. The whole universe is the oldest it's ever been. Are you with me?
Mm.
And sometimes I think it's all, so it used to be younger, maybe, you know, or maybe it hasn't got no age. And that's what I think, the universe has got no age at all. That's what I think, like water, no age. It just stays the same age, you see. You know, and this is what I believe with the universe is no age.
Yeah.
Never existed, it always existed,
Yeah.
and always will.
Yeah.
You know, that's what my theory is, and you've got all these rocks just moving about all the time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just here,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
And they, you know, sometimes they bash into each other or whatever, and they crumble, and then sometimes these bits of dust join up again, you know, but sometimes they bang into each other again. Or, for instance, the oxygen, like around this planet, for instance, the oxygen around this planet, for millions of years, alright, all the rocks and mountains and things like that, the oxygen's changing temperature every minute and every day, and it gets hot during the day, cold during the night, freezing sometimes, you know, and so the rocks is kind of like wood expands with temperature as well all the time, you know, like the doors do, always expanding. Sometimes you can't shut them in the winter and things, you know.
Yeah.
And this is happening.
Especially if they get too wet.
Well, this is
they get wet and then it dries.
This is happening with all the rocks and the mountains,
Mm.
right? They're changing temperature and slowly they're crumbling, right? Making the sand that you see and making the soil that you see. That's where the soil will come from. Slow, you know. I mean, I don't know if I'm completely right. You know, I might be wrong. You know, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But that's what I, you know, sort of studied and learned. You know, do you know what I mean? And that's what I believe in anyway.
Yeah.
Personally, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let's put it that way. But I could be wrong. You know.
Yeah.
But like I say, I think the universe has always been there. You know, and I think it always will be.
Mm.
You know, that's my theory of it. And everything, like living, like trees, us, we're born, we die.
Yeah.
We're born, we die.
That's it.
And we're all fearing it all the time, you know, like for centuries. Even, I don't know, Julius Caesar was scared fearing death. You name every person that's been born for centuries have always feared death. You know, even my mum, my nan did, I expect, you know, at some point, you know, my granddad, you know, and so on. You know, it's something that we've got to live with, death, you know, in a kind of way. I think like life is death, in a funny way.
It's a cycle.
It's a part, you know, yeah.
It's a cycle. It's all correlated. It's a package. If you see what I mean, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it's like it's a cycle of life. You know, everything you know starts off very minuscule and grows, and you know, and eventually, you know, like even with a child, when the child is first forming in its mother's womb, it's minuscule. If you see what I mean, and it eventually grows and grows and grows and expands and starts to become a young infant child in its womb, you know, and over time the arms form and the legs form and etc. And then 9 months later it comes along, like, you know, it's... You know.
Now, something that I studied once, right, which I find, you know, very interesting really, is that, what do you call it, the small, what do you call the small, when the baby's first sort of developing, is it called a uterus or something?
No, the fetus.
Fetus, that's
fetus,
it.
yeah.
So I feel sometimes I'm, you know...
That's okay, man.
You know, But when a human is, you know, beginning, you know, it kind of looks like a broad beam in a funny way, you know, but folded up a little bit, whatever. But then if you go into a dolphin, it looks exactly the same. If you go into a bear, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. You know, we all begin the same.
Yeah.
This is the weird thing. This is what, you know, I studied once, right? We start off at the same shape.
Yeah.
You know, and it might be, you know, like for instance, inside a fish, for instance, you know, might be a bit smaller fish or whatever, but we all start off the same shape.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we grow in different shapes from that shape, if you see what I mean, from that ball beam.
Definitely.
So we're quite strange.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it, right, like for instance, if you have a look at an elephant compared to a human, there's not much difference. You know, there will be in a month's time. You know, I'm looking at a fetus at, say, early
development.
Early development. We're all the same at the beginning, alright?
Yeah.
Then maybe in 3 months, alright,
Yeah.
legs might be popping out because it's human, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's what I find interesting, that nature, we kind of, you know, the fetus kind of looks the same, which is quite weird.
Yeah.
If you know. Might look a little bit different, alright, a little bit, but, you know, mostly the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might be wrong again. I might be wrong.
It's amazing though.
Might be wrong.
You know?
But we're meant to be talking about fear, not fetus.
That's it. That's it.
Or did I say
Yeah.
fetus?
No, you said it right. You said it right. You said fetus. You said
No, the beginning with.
Oh, you said uterus.
Yeah.
You thinking about uterus.
That's what I fear, coming out with the wrong word sometimes.
No, I don't really know. No.
You know.
Well, that's what we're all here to correct each other, mate.
Yeah.
You know.
But so I'm hoping to get better with my vocabulary, you know, and all that in the future.
Yeah.
If you sort of know.
It's like for me, like a lot of my vocabulary comes from reading and
Yeah.
just obviously being a writer too. Obviously writing music and other things too. You know. That's where a lot of my vocabulary comes from. To be honest, you know, I taught myself most of it. I taught like most of the stuff I had is all self. You know, pretty much self-taught. To be honest, most of it. You know.
I think same here, really. You know.
Yeah.
Like my education, like I said, I was a bit of an artist. I didn't really like reading. Like, you know, I didn't want to be there. To be honest with you, know what I mean?
That's how I felt the last few years of school, to be honest. I was here about 14, 15. Because I ended up leaving school at 15, but
Same. Snap.
Huh?
Snap.
But yeah, I ended up leaving school at 15, and
I run away.
I didn't want to be there anymore. Like in my head, I'd already kind of gained everything that I wanted to gain from school, and I was like, you know what, I need to make some money. And all I could think about in my head was like, I was already making some money at school and stuff, like gambling and doing certain things, but I was just like, you know what, I need some money. I need to be working. And I ended up getting blessed because like the first job that I started working for, my pay was quite good, like in comparison to other places, if you see what I mean. They were paying quite a decent wage every week, you know, at that time anyway, you know what I mean? And it wasn't a bad wage, especially someone just leaving school at 15 years old, you know what I mean? So I ended up getting this job, like a 9 to 5. Well, not just 9 to 5, but I'd work 5 days a week, let's say, if you see what I mean. Sometimes weekends, occasionally. Yeah, and I was getting paid quite decently, if you see what I mean, you know. Cause, and that's I was happy as anything. I was like, you know what? Because by that, I was already so mentally, like, past school and everything. I was already thinking about my future and etc. in my head. Like, I just thought I need money to do all this shit, like, you know. So I remember working and just still living at my mum's, but obviously contributing to the rent and the bills and that kind of thing, you know, as well, every month, you know. And then saving whatever money I could and like hustling and, you know, I was just focused on trying to elevate, you know.
That's it, yeah, like we're all
living in a place, mate, where if you're broke, it's not a good place to be living broke, mate, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Because you ain't got nothing to fall back on, mate, if you see what I mean. It's not like the UK, here in the UK, where people have like a benefit system and they get like assistance and shit and all that kind of stuff. You live there, mate, where I used to grow up, mate, for 20 years, ain't no help. Ain't no help.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're broke, you're in trouble, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You lose your house,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to be broke, if you see what I mean. So that was one
But
thing.
even when you get on, when you lose your job in this country,
Yeah.
you know, and you go unemployed, you know, the money they give you sometimes is not enough to pay everything. You know, it depends.
But at least
in.
in this country, sometimes they will pay people's rent, and they'll pay some of their bills and stuff, and give them a certain amount of money to buy food. It might not be a huge amount of money on top to buy food and that, but they've paid their rent and their bills and the main priorities, and given them just enough money to survive that month for food, and maybe a little bit of bus fare or train fare if they need to go 1 or 2 places, or whatever, you know, put some money on their phone, you know. But, you know, that's it, if you see what I mean. But at least they have that, if you see what I mean. You know, for some, you know, some countries, mate, you know what I mean, there's nothing, you know. And that is, you know.
That's it though, like, you know.
I remember, even when I came back to the UK, mate, I think about 6,000 Barbados, and because obviously when I convert that to pounds, that was only like £2,000 or something. I only had like £2,000, if you see what I mean. But I've been saving that £6 grand. I saved that £6 grand over like the period of like a year and a half. Just working and hustling and just put every bit of money I had, putting it aside into the bank. Every week I put it aside. Every week I was putting like 150, 200 Barbados in the bank every week. 150, 200 every week.
Yeah.
4 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know? But yeah, going back to fear and hate, you know? We need these are negative emotions and feelings, and usually results in negative outcomes, and that's something that we as a society in general and as a whole need to work on. People need to be more loving towards each other, more embracing, more understanding, and more just, you know, people don't always have to get along, but people can be cordial.
I think, you know, like I said, that, you know, a lot of people find it tough to, you know, we're living in a world where some people have got to get up and they're doing jobs they don't want to do, basically. You know, but they do those jobs because they got their own living, bills and whatever, you know, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, sometimes I wish I lived in a different planet, do you know what I mean? With, you know, with people that, you know, that everyone living on this planet have got good hearts and they're all well educated. Yeah. And they're all polite. Yeah. They all know the way to be, do you know what I mean? That's what I want, you know, I want a world like that. Yeah. You know,
it's never going to be perfect, but it can be a hell of a lot better than it is right now.
Yeah, you know,
there's always going to be evil in the world. That is a sad reality.
No, I don't think there is.
There is always going to be evil in it. You got people always get corrupted somehow, mate.
I think when evil goes is when humans go extinct.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
That's the only time. So if humans go extinct, then yeah.
That's why I think they will go extinct.
At some point. At some point.
I think they will go extinct.
we're gonna move to bloody Mars or do something like Elon Musk type shit and try to move people to Mars, and eventually people will be living and inhabiting Mars, and all people on Earth might eventually go extinct, like you said, or something might happen, you know.
Well, you know, this is my thing, my theory. Yeah, that a lot of the insects will be going extinct in the next 50 years. That's my theory.
And what happens when nature starts to go extinct and everything?
Well, I've read about it, whatever. And
what happens when the bees? What happens when the bees start to disappear?
Well, I've seen quotes about it.
And we all know what's going to happen.
Well, I've seen quotes about it.
And if you're educated and you know if you know anything about nature and you understand.
Oh, I do. This is the thing. I do know a lot about nature, right? And you know, actually, every year that goes by, I learn more about it. You know. You know, I mean, like I was the kind of child at about 7 and 8 years, 9 years, laying on the floor, looking at the insects very closely. That kind of little boy, and I used to look at them very, you know, for hours. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, and I used to enjoy myself. And I was, you know, as I said, the ants become my friends. You know, I started to love them. Yeah. You know, they're like little humans to me. You know, if you look at them carefully, you know, they're, you know, and I don't think, you know, like you said when you left school, you know, you needed to get a job and things, you know, and so your focuses were a little bit different to mine, you know, and I think like, you know, I had different sort of focuses than you had, you know, and that's that, you know, and you know, I love learning about nature today, I really do, you know. Nature makes me smile, to be honest with you, you know. Yeah. You know, to me, nature is magical, and it magically makes me smile, automatically. Yeah. And it don't just do that during the day. It helps, you know. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about it too, and it helps me smile and laugh. Then. Yeah. Nature makes me laugh and makes me happy. Yeah. You know, and I think if you love nature like I do, or you can see it like I do, and all the little insects and things, how cute they all are, how beautiful they really are, you will start looking at the insects as little animals in a funny way, you know. And I think like we're not really, like we're forgetting about them a little bit, where like 1,000 years ago we used to care about insects a little bit more than we did. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. If you sort of mean. You know, I think we've lost our compassion, let's put it that way, today. And, you know, I've got a lot of compassion for nature, you know, I love elephants or whatever, you know. And if you haven't got compassion, I don't think you're going to enjoy living. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's something that keeps me alive, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Nature, you are nature, you know, everything's, you know, we talked about nature last week, you know, and people forget that they are nature, and you shouldn't kill anything in nature. You should respect everything in nature, everything. And people are not respecting nature today, you know. Like, I did write a quote the other day that I never wanted to drive a car because I love all the flowers and trees and all the beautiful insects and birds and animals too much. Do you know what I mean? It's simple. Yeah. You know, a compassionate soul. That's what I am. You know, and I try to teach people how to be more compassionate than they are, and funny way, empathetic. You know, and you know, I think like if you understand, like for instance, like do insects feel pain? Do they? Yes, they do. Right. Just like we do, apparently. You know, and people don't understand this, you know, or you know, whatever. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I think like, you know, the more you understand nature, the less you're gonna have hate living in you a bit, in a funny way, you know, or fear. Yeah. Yeah. You know, you sort of overcome, you know, by loving like the worms or whatever, your fears go away. Yeah. I think, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Just got to embrace the possibilities, if you see what I mean, you know. We've got to stop letting fear hold us back from fulfilling our truest potential and utmost potential, you know. So many people have the potential to be great, quote unquote,
or to create greatness.
Definitely.
In some way.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think, you know, we need to stop, a lot of people need to just stop allowing fear to hold them back. I don't know who out there, someone out there might need to hear this message when they watch this video, you know, when they watch this episode, you know, you might, you know, this message might be for you, you know, it might be for all of us. But we need to stop letting fear hold us back, you know. Like we talked about earlier, you know, we all live on borrowed time, and that is the reality, you know, so, you know, let's enjoy it and try to do the best that we can. And when I say enjoy it, people have a misconception sometimes that when you say enjoy life, that means you've got to go out there and go completely wild. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying enjoy every day of your life, no matter what it is you've got to do. You know, whether it be your responsibilities, even your obligations. You know, try to enjoy it. You know, we only got one life, so you might as well just get on with it and enjoy it. Make the most of it. Do what you've got to do. You know. And enjoy yours, you know.
So I think like tomorrow I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah, definitely, yeah. But I might get a toothache, or you know, or I might wake up and my legs really hurt me or something, you know, and I'm not going to have such a good day.
Yeah.
You know, pain is something that I think like a wise man avoids basically. Do you know what I mean? There's one thing, you know, we all try to avoid. Let's put it that way. We don't want pain, do we?
No.
You know, it does ruin your day a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. It can do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we kind of all, you know, like the news, for instance, you know, it's constantly there, isn't it? You know, I keep away from it.
The news is a big fear.
Yeah, exactly.
Big fear-based thing to it.
And it misleads people, I think. You know, like these newspapers, for instance. You know, if you're reading newspapers every day, if you like, whatever, I think you're going to be lying to people.
Yeah.
You know, because you're misinformed in a funny way, you know. You know, and I think like some people just enjoy reading, don't they? For something to do, do you know what I mean? And,
yeah.
You know, and some people read things and take it seriously, or you know, there's different, you know, like ways of looking at things. You know, like if you read a story, and I read the same story, certain things would, you know, fear me in it or whatever, you know, then it would another person, let's put it that way, you know, things like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, the story of the spider, you know, yeah, but I did put a quote on my Facebook once, you know, where you got 4 boys around here. One of them sort of jumps a mile when he sees it, you know, because he hates them, you know, and tries to tread on it. It was, you know, and another one loves it, but he's obsessive with it.
Yeah.
And wants to keep it, you know. And then, you know, there's different types of love, you know, like, you know, if you love a spider, would you love it and stroke it and then just let it go? And, you know, just remember it. That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a memory, you see. You know, and I think I feel like I've got a photographic memory. You know, so if I see anything, it automatically goes in my memory for life, almost, do you know what I mean? I won't forget it, you know, it's there somewhere, you know, I mean, if let's put it this way, if I saw this weird spider coming towards me right now, and it's pretty big, and it was quite colourful as well, you know, I've never seen it quite pretty, you know, because you do get metallic spiders, all kinds, right, but it's you get a rainbow spider, and it looks like rainbow, honestly, Right, so I had this big spider come towards me, right, it was hairy, and it looked different, right, I would remember it, you know, it made me jump, you know, because it looked, you know, I think it was coming to attack me or something, whatever, you know, and I'd get a stick probably or something, you know, and try to get it out the window, you know, it's that big, right, but, you know, like 10 years later, right, I see a little one, but it's the same one, you know, but it's the same design on it, you know, I think, I saw that 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, do you know what I mean? You know, it probably sort of go out of my memory for 10 years, you know, but once I saw a spider 10 years, I saw that 10 years ago, do you know what I mean? You know, and that's what my memory's like, you know. And I don't think you need to keep birds and things like this in a cage all day, do you know what I mean? Looking at it, keeping it obsessive.
It's not designed, nature's not designed that way.
Why do that when you've got a memory?
Well, people don't want to be locked up in a cage and shit like that either themselves, do they? You know? It's like no one wants to go to prison, do they? And spend time in prison.
I'm telling you now, nothing likes being, not in a borough.
You know, so why would you do it? Why would you do it to, you know?